I want to tell you a secret. Every single person that you meet every day deals with fear. The difference between a person who is successful and a person that struggles, or a person who we might affectionately call a member of the frozen chosen, is their ability to deal with the fear in a way that empowers them to move towards the achievement of their goals. So what do you do when you're faced with fear? And we've all had that. We have that anxiety in our stomach, that paralyzing sense that I can't make it, that sense that I have to quit or turn back, my fear that I'm going to fail somehow. We've all felt that. So what do you do when that comes? I want to give a couple of easy steps that if you practice this consistently, this isn't going to eliminate your fears, because fear is a part of human life. But if you listen carefully and take action on what I'm going to say, I'm going to give you some tools that will allow you to move through your fears, to move towards the successful achievement of your goals. Now, the first thing you want to notice with fear is that the cause of a fear is some circumstance. I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm a writer. And I love writing, but one of the things that every person who writes has to face is what Stephen Pressfield calls resistance, or what other people just call writer's block. So usually I sit down and I have a goal. Say I try to write 500 words every single day. But then what happens some days, it's not every day now, but still many days, and I've been writing for a long time, I suddenly have this fear that I can't do it, that my words aren't going to be good enough, that no one would ever want to read these things. And what you have to do when you recognize that you're having a fear is, because fear is a feeling. So I have a response of fear, is you want to observe it. Part of growing in life is to have self-awareness and be aware of what your feelings are. So pay attention to your feelings. And when you feel fear, like I feel like I can't get this done, I'm terrified that my words aren't going to be enough, observe it. And here's the thing, observe it without judgment. Welcome to the human race. You're afraid. Everybody is. So just observe it, and this is the next step. After you recognize the fear, feel it. Let yourself feel fully whatever that fear is, and describe it. How does fear make you feel? And maybe most importantly, I want you to think about this. What actions does the fear cause in you? Because this is a feeling, right? And feelings, whatever they are, lead to actions. And you know what happens when you're afraid? What kind of actions do you take? Do you have? The actions are you end up moving into worry sometimes, or you can quit, or you can do what many people call buffer your fear. When I'm writing and I'm afraid, what am I tempted to do? Well, I'm tempted to go check my email. Or I'm tempted, hey, I'm going to go check out a soccer website, see what Manchester United's doing. Or you can go do blank. We all have those buffering activities. Those are the easy default things that we do when we're afraid of something. We feel that anxiety. So notice what that leads to. But now here's the question. Again, if you do all this stuff, there's no judgment here. Just recognize what you're doing. Observe that. But now, here's what we want to do. Okay, now let's back it up, because these are the actions, right? The circumstances, again, for me, I want to write, right? That's the circumstance, right? I've sat down to write, just basic neutral circumstance. Now here's the interesting thing. What is behind the fear? It's not just writing, because millions of people write every single day, right? So there's nothing really scary about writing, but notice what actually causes the fear. It's not usually the circumstance, right? It's your thoughts that have given some interpretation to the circumstance, right? So what am I actually thinking? Underneath that fear is that I'm not a good enough writer. People may not like what I say. It's not going to be good enough this time. And I would encourage you, whenever you find a fear, something that's blocking you, make yourself write down your thoughts. Call this a thought download. Take a journal out and write the thoughts that are actually causing you to be afraid, because that's the key thing right there, is recognizing that underneath the feelings, and it's not the circumstance ultimately that causes the fear. That's a lie. It's the thoughts about the circumstances. I teach classes that are difficult and challenging sometimes for students, and they're afraid that they're not going to make it. Like they have to take a class, and then I always ask, what are you afraid of? And like I teach a class where you have to know languages. And so typically students are really afraid about the languages, but that's kind of amusing in a way because a language is just neutral, right? But what they're afraid of is they're not going to be not good enough, or they can't learn it, not good at languages. You can fill in the blanks, and that creates a lot of anxiety, which then leads to what? Not the success that you want to have, okay? So what's the next step? You recognize your thoughts. Now here's where you have some control, right? Because what you want to ask next is, instead of fear, what would be an empowering emotion that would lead to the action that I actually want? Because again, we don't want these pieces, right? What we want are get writing done. That's what I want to do. I want to get my 500 words. That's what I usually shoot for. I shoot for 500 words. So the action that I actually want is to sit down and write, or like I call it, sometimes I call this step Bic Hawk. Butt in chair, hands on keyboard. Bic Hawk. Butt in chair, hands on keyboard. I want to get it done, right? Okay, so that's what I want to do. So what feeling do I need instead of fear that will empower me to put my hands on the keyboard and punch words out? Well, how about a feeling like empowered, confident, resolved, committed? I mean, any of these words would work, but this is really important. Whatever's got you stuck, think about the feeling that would allow you to generate the emotion that would drive you to take decisive action to get your work, and not simply do buffering activities or worry or just loop around or get stuck in fear or even just run away, right? So, okay, so what thoughts would empower me for writing? How about some really easy ones? Let's make this simple. How about this? I've got this. I can do it. I'm a pro. So you want to substitute the negative thoughts, or substitute the positive thoughts for the negative thoughts. Again, this is fairly simple, but it's not always easy in practice, and this takes practice, right? So the key thing is you want to do the thought downloads, recognize where the actual feelings are coming from after you've observed them. So you got to sit with it. Don't be afraid of fear. Everybody's afraid. It's just simply then we have to change the meaning of our circumstance. Like I'm again writing. I got this. Not, oh my gosh, people aren't going to like it. And I even sometimes say things like, I write the words that the world needs to read. Writing brings me joy, right? I create thoughts that then drive this forward. And then we take these steps, you're going to actually get the result that you're looking for. I hope this helps. I'm Brian Russell. I'm your professor for life.